The gentleman from Connecticut, Mr. Himes, who is also the chair of the Subcommittee on National Security, International Development, and Monetary Policy, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Chairman, if you'll indulge me 1 minute. It's important for the American people to understand what's being said here today, because it's being said in other rooms in this building. What the American people are seeing today is something that my Republican Party friends have given over to recently all too often, and that is rank dishonesty in the service of acquiring and retaining power. A party without any resilient or discernible principle has stumbled upon inflation. There's inflation all over the world. Germany, Japan, Africa, South America, the United Kingdom. There's inflation all over the world. But the Republican Party has decided that inflation is Joe Biden's fault, or the American Recovery Plan's fault. I've read the monetary policy report from start to finish. It gives the Russian invasion of Ukraine, supply chain bottlenecks, high fuel costs, high wage growth. It does not mention Joe Biden or the American Recovery Plan. By the way, the American Recovery Plan is a particularly rank piece of dishonesty. Set aside the fact that it cut childhood poverty in half. As Mr. Green pointed out, if that isn't something to celebrate and to perhaps have the slightest bit of humility as you attack it, I don't know what I can do for you. The American Recovery Plan, as Mr. Emmer pointed out, was about 1/3 to 1/4 of the fiscal efforts that this Congress made on a largely bipartisan effort to lift our economy to the point where it is today. The chairman said, strong and well recovered. Unemployment at 3.6%. So many jobs out there that many of them are going unfilled. Did we overshoot? Maybe we did. But the American Recovery Plan, this thing that cut childhood poverty in this country in half, was about 1/4 to 1/3 of the fiscal efforts. The other money was supported by President Trump. But by the way, it's not those dollars that are still sitting in Americans' bank accounts. It's not CARES dollars. No, that was supported by the Republican Party. It's only those dollars in the American Recovery Plan that cut childhood poverty in half. Energy prices. I read the monetary policy report. I'll quote it. Because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, oil prices rose sharply. I've been around here long enough to know that putting facts and truth out is like spitting into a hurricane, but it's important for the American people to understand that. Mr. Powell, I released yesterday, I hope you got a copy, a white paper on a central bank digital currency. It's offered with humility because we have a lot of issues to work out, but I hope you've had a chance to take at least a quick look at it. I wonder if you have any reflections, or importantly, what are the next steps now that you've gotten commentary from lots of people? What's the next steps with respect to the Federal Reserve thinking about a CBDC?
So I did have it. I printed it out. I have it here. I have not had a chance to read it carefully, obviously, given all that's going on. But no, so I think generally we're doing a great deal of work. The President signed an executive order, and administration, parts of the administration are working on this. I think it's something we really need to explore as a country. It should not be a partisan thing. It's a very important potential financial innovation that will affect all Americans. And our plan is to work on both the policy side and the technological side in coming years, and come to Congress with a recommendation at some point. And we don't prejudge what that would be. I know your views are very positive on it. But I think one thing I did see in your report was the beginnings of thinking about how Congress might authorize it, and I do think that's a very, very important aspect of this. And it's great to have Congress starting to think about that.
Thank you. I think I agree with that, and I think that has bipartisan support. In my remaining minute, I'm going to ask you a question I ask you a lot, Mr. Chairman. We're obviously seeing pretty dramatic swings in the financial markets. Money is no longer free. We're seeing that in the SPAC market, the high yield market, the equity markets, cryptocurrency. In my very short remaining time, Mr. Chairman, what should we be focused on? What is concerning you with respect to systemic risk that may develop in the face of rising rates and rising inflation?
So, basically the financial markets have been functioning well, and the banking system in particular is very strong, well capitalized, lots of liquidity, better understanding and management of its risks. The place where there have been issues, and we don't see them elevated at this point has been illiquidity in some markets relative to where it had been historically. But
Any
again,
markets
they're
in
functioning.
particular where you worry about illiquidity?
No, I wouldn't say that we're seeing anything that's particularly concerning, but I think sort of systematically liquidity in the Treasury market has come down from where it was, and we've been looking for some time at ways to address that. But the markets are clearly functioning reasonably well.
Thank you. Thank you. My time has expired.
Thank